In the heart of Beverly Hills, where opulence masks secrets and the scent of privilege lingers in the air, a question echoes through the lavish corridors. What sinister forces could drive two golden sons to annihilate the very pillars of their existence? Were Lyle and Eric Menendez cold-blooded murderers cloaked in Armani suits, or tormented souls pushed to the brink by a lifetime of hidden horrors? The tranquil facade of one of America's wealthiest neighborhoods was irrevocably shattered on a sultry August night in 1989. The palatial residence of entertainment magnate Jose Menendez and his wife Kitty became the epicenter of a gruesome mystery that would captivate and horrify the nation. Their lifeless bodies, brutally executed, were discovered in a scene so violent that even seasoned detectives were left speechless. The immediate suspects? Their own flesh and blood, Lyle and Eric Menendez. But beneath the layers of wealth and familial pride lies a labyrinth of questions. What really happened behind the closed doors of the Menendez mansion? Could two young men, seemingly living a life of enviable privilege, be harboring dark secrets that would lead them to commit the ultimate betrayal? The night of terror, August 20th, 1989, began like any other day in the gilded cage of Beverly Hills. The sun cast its golden glow over manicured lawns and shimmering pools, oblivious to the darkness that was about to descend. As twilight painted the sky with hues of purple and crimson, an unspeakable act was unfolding within the Menendez estate. At 11:47 p.m., a frantic 911 call jolted the Beverly Hills Police Department into action.
Beverly Hills emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, man,
Were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
Somebody killed my parents, a voice shrieked, laced with sheer panic. It was Lyle Menendez, his words tumbling over each other in hysteria. The dispatcher struggled to extract coherent information as Lyle's sobs intensified. Moments later, sirens pierced the quiet streets, converging on the grand mansion that now stood as a silent witness to unimaginable violence. Officers cautiously entered the opulent home, their footsteps echoing against marble floors. What they found defied comprehension. Jose Menendez lay slumped on a couch in the den, his once imposing figure reduced to a blood-soaked shell. Kitty Menendez was sprawled across the floor, her body ravaged by shotgun blasts. The sheer brutality was staggering, multiple shots fired at close range, leaving little recognizable. What could warrant such overkill? Was this a message from the criminal underworld, or something even more insidious? Initial assessments speculated a mob hit or a burglary gone awry. The methodical execution suggested professional involvement. Yet, nothing seemed to be missing from the home, and there were no signs of forced entry. As detectives combed through the grisly scene, Lyle and Eric stood outside, their faces contorted in anguish. They appeared as devastated sons, their world abruptly torn asunder. The immediate aftermath. In the days following the murders, the Menendez brothers were the picture of grief. They organized an elaborate memorial service, their eyes glassy with tears as they greeted mourners. The public sympathized with the young men thrust into tragedy. Yet, beneath the veneer of sorrow, subtle anomalies began to emerge. Just days after laying their parents to rest, Lyle purchased a Rolex watch and a new Porsche. Eric hired a tennis coach and invested in expensive lessons, aiming to become a professional player. The brothers moved into luxury condominiums, leaving the family mansion behind. Was this merely a coping mechanism for unimaginable loss? Or a glimpse into a deeper motive? Their spending escalated rapidly. They dined at exclusive restaurants, purchased designer clothing, and indulged in lavish vacations. In a matter of months, they reportedly spent over $1 million. Family members grew concerned. The abrupt shift from mourning sons to free-spending playboys was unsettling. Investigators took note, their suspicions quietly mounting. The investigation tightens, detectives revisited the crime scene, this time with a more critical eye. The lack of forced entry suggested the victims knew their assailants. The shotgun shells recovered were traced back to weapons purchased in San Diego days before the murders. A pivotal breakthrough came when a friend of Eric's, Craig Signorelli, approached authorities. He revealed that Eric had confided in him about committing the murders, expressing overwhelming guilt. However, without concrete evidence, the confession was merely hearsay. Could a secret confession be enough to unravel the brothers' facade? Or would they continue to elude justice? Undercover operations were set in motion. Investigators wired Signorelli in hopes of capturing a damning admission from Eric. The conversations were cryptic, laden with tension, but failed to yield a definitive confession. The confession tapes. The case took a dramatic turn when Dr. L. Jerome Oziel, the brothers' psychologist, came forward with a chilling revelation.
Eric said that he entered the room first, and I believe that he was shooting at his father, and then Lyle followed after him, and basically, quote, Lyle finished off the job. Eric told me that his father said something like, no, no, and turned away and was shot as he was saying that. And the mother was, I think, shot second, and I guess began to stand or something of that nature, and was shot and then fell to the ground. The father died first, and the mother did not die with the first shots that were fired at her. Both Eric and Lyle went out to get some more cartridges and reloaded the shotguns and went in, and Lyle, I believe, finished murdering their mother.
He claimed that during therapy sessions, both Lyle and Eric had confessed to the murders in explicit detail. These sessions had been recorded, and the tapes held the potential to crack the case wide open. However, legal and ethical quandaries emerged. Could these tapes be admitted as evidence without violating doctor-patient confidentiality? Would the tapes withstand the scrutiny of the court? After intense legal battles, the California Supreme Court ruled that portions of the tapes could be used in court, citing an exception to confidentiality if the therapist believes the patient poses a serious danger to others. The tapes unveiled a harrowing narrative. The brothers described years of emotional and physical abuse, culminating in a desperate act to escape their tyrannical father and complicit mother. They recounted the night of the murders with chilling clarity, discussing their fear, anger, and perceived lack of alternatives. The inheritance motive prosecutors seized upon the brothers' extravagant spending as evidence of a financial motive. They argued that Lyle and Eric meticulously planned the murders to inherit their parents' substantial wealth, estimated at $14 million. Evidence showed that Lyle had inquired about the family will shortly before the murders. Additionally, the brothers had attempted to gain control of their father's businesses in the aftermath. Did greed drive them to patricide? Or were they simply attempting to piece together their lives after unimaginable trauma? The prosecution painted a picture of entitled youths, unsatisfied with their allowances and eager to claim their inheritance. The defense countered that the spending was a coping mechanism, a way to fill the void left by their parents' deaths, a history of abuse. In a shocking twist, the defense introduced allegations of severe sexual, physical, and emotional abuse perpetrated by Jose Menendez. Eric took the stand, his voice quavering as he recounted graphic details of the abuse he claimed began when he was just 6 years old. Lyle corroborated these accounts, revealing that he too had been a victim. They described a household ruled by fear, where failure to meet impossible standards resulted in brutal punishment. Kitty Menendez was portrayed as unstable and neglectful, turning a blind eye to her husband's atrocities. Could these revelations justify the unthinkable? Does enduring such trauma mitigate their culpability? The defense argued that the brothers believed their parents were going to kill them to prevent the disclosure of the abuse. This belief, they claimed, triggered a state of imminent danger, leading to the fatal confrontation. The psychology of parricide is an anomaly in criminal behavior, representing less than 2% of all homicides. It defies the natural order of familial bonds, raising profound psychological questions. What drives a child to kill their parent? Is it a manifestation of deep-seated rage, a response to prolonged victimization, or a pathological deviation? Experts in psychology testified about battered child syndrome, a condition where prolonged abuse leads to heightened fear and a distorted perception of threat. The syndrome parallels battered woman syndrome, recognized in cases of domestic violence. Dr. William Vickery, a psychiatrist for the defense, testified that the brothers exhibited symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder. He argued that their actions were not premeditated murder, but a desperate response to years of abuse. The first trials, the trials of Lyle and Eric Menendez, commenced in 1993, with each brother having his own jury. Televised nationally, the proceedings became a media sensation, captivating viewers with their raw emotional intensity. The defense's portrayal of the brothers as victims resonated with many. Jurors wept as they listened to the harrowing testimonies of abuse. The prosecution faced the challenge of refuting these claims without appearing insensitive to potential victims of abuse. Could the juries reconcile the brutality of the crime with the possibility of genuine victimhood? After months of testimony and deliberation, both juries were deadlocked. Mistrials were declared, and the nation was left without closure. Some jurors would later reveal that they believed the brothers had been abused, impacting their ability to convict them of first-degree murder. The retrials and convictions in 1995, the brothers were retried, this time with a single jury and under stricter guidelines. The judge significantly limited the admissibility of abuse evidence, ruling that it was not a valid defense for murder, but could be considered during sentencing. The prosecution sharpened their focus on the premeditation and financial motives. They presented evidence of the brothers purchasing shotguns, practicing at shooting ranges, and attempting to create alibis. With the emotional testimony curtailed, would the scales of justice tip toward conviction? In March 1996, both Lyle and Eric Menendez were found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The jury recommended life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, rejecting the death penalty. Do you believe the Menendez brothers deserve to stay in prison for life? Tell us in the comments. Like and subscribe for more spine-chilling mysteries. Life behind bars. The brothers began serving their sentences in separate maximum security prisons, prohibited from contacting each other. Over the years, they adapted to life behind bars. Lyle became an advocate for inmate rights, while Eric pursued education and counseling roles. In 2018, after nearly 2 decades apart, the brothers were reunited at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. The emotional reunion was a poignant moment, reigniting public interest in their case. Does their continued imprisonment serve justice? Or is there a place for compassion given the complexities of their past? Supporters argue that the brothers have been rehabilitated and that their sentences were excessively harsh. Petitions for clemency have been circulated, though none have resulted in official action. Unanswered questions. The Menendez case continues to provoke debate and speculation. Were the brothers' claims of abuse truthful, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated? Did the legal system adequately address the psychological impact of alleged long-term abuse? Is the punishment proportionate to the crime, considering the mitigating factors presented? Some believe that new evidence or re-examining the case could lead to a different outcome today. Others maintain that the convictions were just reflecting the severity of their actions. The role of media. The Menendez trials were among the first to be broadcast extensively on television, turning courtroom proceedings into entertainment. The media's portrayal often emphasized sensational aspects over substantive analysis. Did the glare of the media spotlight influence the trial's outcome or public perception? Critics argue that the constant exposure created a bias, reducing complex human experiences to soundbites. Depending on the prevailing narrative, the brothers were alternately vilified and sympathized with. The case set a precedent for future high-profile trials, highlighting the need for media responsibility and the potential impact on judicial processes. Psychological analysis. Delving deeper into the psychological aspects, experts have explored various dimensions of the brothers' actions. Was it narcissistic personality disorder that was the real cause of it all? Some suggest that Jose Menendez exhibited traits consistent with narcissism, potentially creating a toxic family environment. Or was it intergenerational trauma? The concept is that unresolved trauma can be passed down, influencing generational behavior. What about survival mechanisms? The brothers' alleged abuse may have instilled survival instincts that manifested in extreme actions when they perceived no escape. But do these factors excuse or merely explain their heinous actions? Understanding the psychological underpinnings does not absolve responsibility but provides context. It challenges us to consider the role of mental health in criminal behavior and the importance of addressing abuse before it escalates. The broader implications. The Menendez case transcends a singular family tragedy, reflecting societal issues. The case prompts an examination of how affluence can shield or expose individuals to unique pressures and expectations. It underscores the necessity of recognizing and intervening in abusive situations, regardless of socioeconomic status. The complexities of the case highlight challenges within the legal system in addressing nuanced psychological defenses. Are we, as a society, equipped to handle such multifaceted cases fairly and compassionately? The case has influenced legal approaches to abuse defenses and opened dialogues about mental health, though not without controversy. Revisiting the evidence. A comprehensive review of the evidence offers a mosaic of contradictions. The brothers purchased shotguns under false identities and created alibis, suggesting calculated intent. Efforts to dispose of incriminating items point to consciousness of guilt. Their demeanor and actions post-murder raised doubts about their professed remorse. These behavior inconsistencies lend credence to the argument that the boys knew exactly what they were doing and could have walked away at any time. Conversely, relatives and acquaintances recounted instances of harsh discipline and peculiar family dynamics. Eric's confessions to friends and breakdowns indicate internal conflict and possible trauma. Experts diagnosed them with disorders consistent with abuse victims. Can a definitive conclusion be drawn, or will ambiguity always cloud the truth? The legal debate. The admissibility of abuse as a defense remains contentious. The law recognizes immediate self-defense but is less clear on preemptive actions against ongoing abuse. Proving historical abuse relies heavily on personal testimony, which can be subjective or disputed. Balancing empathy for victims of abuse with the need for accountability poses ethical dilemmas. Should the legal system evolve to accommodate such complexities better, or does that risk undermining the rule of law? Societal reflections. The Menendez saga invites introspection on broader societal themes. It challenges the idealized notion of family, revealing how appearances can mask dysfunction. The case illustrates the consequences of unaddressed mental health issues and societal reluctance to confront them. It prompts questions about the objectives of the justice system. Is it to punish, rehabilitate, or deter? What lessons can be gleaned to prevent future tragedies of this nature? Technological advances and new evidence. With advancements in forensic science and psychological research, re-examining the case could yield new insights. Modern techniques could potentially uncover evidence not previously accessible, such as DNA analysis. Brain scans might provide tangible proof of trauma or psychological conditions for both Eric and Lyle. Analysis of archived communications using digital forensics could shed light on family dynamics. Is it worthwhile to revisit the case in light of new technologies? Or should it remain a closed chapter? The brothers, today decades behind bars, have transformed Lyle and Eric Menendez. They have married while incarcerated, pursued education, and engaged in various prison programs. Lyle is now active in hospice care within the prison, assisting terminally ill inmates. Eric is now involved in rehabilitation programs and mentoring younger inmates. Do these endeavors reflect genuine rehabilitation? And should they influence perceptions of their character? Some advocate for their release based on good behavior and the belief that they no longer pose a threat to society. Others firmly oppose any leniency, citing the gravity of their crimes. Public fascination. The enduring intrigue surrounding the Menendez case is evident in documentaries, books, and dramatizations. Why does this case continue to captivate the public imagination? Is it the juxtaposition of wealth and depravity, or the unresolved nature of their true motives? The fascination may stem from the human tendency to grapple with the unfathomable, to understand how such a breakdown within a family can occur. The media's role in the Menendez case serves as a cautionary tale about ethical journalism. Balancing public interest with respectful reporting is a delicate task. Media coverage can influence jury selection and witness testimonies. Those who control the narrative can sway public opinion for better or worse. How can media outlets navigate these challenges to provide informative yet conscientious coverage? Lessons learned. The Menendez case offers several takeaways for various facets of society. Can these lessons help prevent future tragedies, or are such events inevitable in certain circumstances? The Menendez Brothers' story is a haunting tapestry woven with threads of wealth, power, dysfunction, and desperation. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the human condition and the shadows that can lurk within even the most gilded lives. Is justice a fixed ideal, or does it shift with our evolving understanding of psychology and morality? Can we ever truly comprehend the depths of another's pain, enough to judge their actions with absolute certainty? Does the potential for redemption exist, even for those who have committed the most grievous of sins? In the end, Lyle and Eric Menendez remain behind bars, their fate sealed by a justice system that weighed their deeds against their words and found them wanting. Their saga continues to echo through the halls of legal, psychological, and societal discourse, a stark reminder that beneath the glittering surface of privilege can lie dark secrets with the power to destroy not only those who harbor them, but everyone around them. The mansion in Beverly Hills stands silent now, a monument to a family destroyed by forces that perhaps only they will ever fully understand. And as we ponder their story, we are left with a lingering unease, a recognition that the line between victim and perpetrator can blur, that the truths we hold dear can be upended, and that sometimes the most terrifying mysteries are the ones that dwell within the human heart. Like, subscribe and set notifications to all. Thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate you.